Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov's chess channel and welcome to the round 8 of the Grenke tournament 2019 in Germany. So Magnus Carlsen, well, he managed to win a game again, nothing special, nothing fancy as I always love to say, but he's playing really something else, and basically he can play anything he wants. I've seen now many opening lines. I've seen some opening lines by him with b6 where he crushed the top grandmasters. So today he chooses this old Sicilian defense. So he changed a little bit his defensive style with black pieces. And today Magnus Carlsen played really positionally. Nothing too much of tactics you'll see in this game, but really with this positional trades of pieces, which I like because Magnus Carlsen, he's one of the best tacticians these days, and he's of course one of the best positional players in the world. That's why he's really he's a complete well, let me express in this way, he's a completely beast in chess because he's tactically unbelievable, positionally unbelievable, so it's really hard to fight against him. So today he faced Peter Svidler, and now with this win, the game between Fabiano Caruana and Georg Mayer is not over yet, so we'll see. But I think with this win, Magnus Carlsen is will end in the first place in this tournament. So, what to say about Peter Svidler? So, he was one of the rare guys that had a positive score against Magnus Carlsen. So, he had two wins, and Magnus Carlsen only one win against Peter Svidler. So, today, Magnus Carlsen, not that he only probably wins the tournament, he has also equalized their result against each other. So, let's see now the game. As said, the game is really positionally, nothing too much of tactics here. But the good thing is that Magnus Carlsen played this game without mistakes or blunders. So he played only one slightly inaccuracy, but in a position in which he had a completely winning game anyway. So basically, he played the opening and the middle game in such a perfection. So let's see now the game. Peter Svidler opened with e4, we have c5, and knight on f3, and now knight on c6. Again, probably Magnus would have gone into the Lasker defense if Peter Svidler wouldn't have played this move knight on c3. And now you see Peter Svidler chooses another line. He doesn't go into this direct line with d4, and here we have e5 by Magnus Carlsen. Now we have the so-called old Sicilian defense, and I myself would never play it. Of course, Magnus Carlsen, as said, he can play anything he wants, but I simply don't like it because of this d5 weakness. And you see now in this game that the unbelievable thing is that this main weakness by Magnus Carlsen, this d5 square, will become the main strength of him. So it will be his main advantage in the continuation of the game, which is really unbelievable how positionally good he is. So here the d5 square can always be occupied with some pieces, with a knight or maybe with a bishop to create sort of an outpost. And the problem from Black's perspective is that you can never kick away a potential piece outpost from the square d5 because you have already moved your c and e5 pawn, and you see you don't have the possibility to play maybe the moves e6 or c6. So that's a huge hole in this game. But the advantage of this types of position is that we have sort of a closed position in which we can go into this positional trades of pieces. Whenever you have closed positions, you can really go and try to maybe exchange your weak bishop for your opponent's good bishop, which in this position is of course the dark square bishop because it's blocked out by your own pawns, and after the potential move d6 it will be even worse. So that's our main goal here, to trade off these two dark square bishops and continue the game with the light square bishop, and then of course after the move d6 to push the pawn on e5. That's just an idea, you know. It has to be prepared, but from a strategical point of view, that's our main goal, to go into this sort of King's Indian attack. So Here bishop on c4 played by Peter Svidler, which is also still very good, common theory. It's not allowing this f5 move. It has to be more prepared, because after potential castling, this bishop would be aiming on the king. So here bishop on e7 was played, and here d3 by Peter Svidler, pardon me. d6 was played here by Carlsen, and here knight on d2 by Peter Svidler. And in one game, Magnus Carlsen went into this direct line with bishop on g5, but he lost the game against Vasily Agraf, and here he chose another line with the fast development style with the move knight on f6. And here Peter Svidler goes knight on f1, which is the preparation to place the knight, maybe knight on e3, knight on g3, and then create some outposts on d5 or f5. Because as said, you see, we have really occupied with this knight and the bishop this d5 square. We want to support it more. We want to play simply on around this weakness that black has created for himself. So but as I said, you see that this d5, it's unbelievable, will become the best square for Magnus Carlsen. It's unbelievable. I couldn't believe what Peter Svidler has done here with these pieces. So here you see knight on d7 was played by Carlsen, and here we have knight on d5. Here knight on b6 was played by Carlsen, already challenging all of these pieces in the center. So again, the same idea is like maybe we can go knight on g3, maybe here after knight on b6, knight from b6 on d5. Then if white takes with the pawn, you see, then the bishop would be blocked out. Again, we would go maybe knight on b8, knight on d7, and create this f5 move, again creating this King's Indian style. So that's why here knight on b6, but I think that maybe Peter Svidler should have gone here knight from f to e3, fixing the position even more around this d5. If you take this bishop, we can even more cement this knight on d5, maybe create sort of a battery on the d file, creating an attack on this weak d6 pawn. So as I liked it more instead of this knight on b6 idea that was played by Peter Svidler, because now Magnus Carlsen simply spices up a little bit the position by opening this a file for the rook. And here c3 was played by Svidler, and okay, he now prevents, of course, this knight on d4 outpost, and here Magnus Carlsen plays simply castle. Knight on e3 was played, and now Magnus Carlsen plays this bishop on g5 idea. That's the positional trade that I was talking about. Whenever we have really this fixed position in the center, we want to have this positional trades of pieces. So whenever the knight here moves to d5 or to f5, here we will really give up here sort of our weak dark square bishop for a very strong dark square bishop of white, because this bishop has a good diagonal. You see, we have from black's perspective all of these pawns on dark square. So that's this main positional idea by Magnus Carlsen, and it's a good choice maybe to go in this line by Magnus Carlsen in this particular game, because you see, there's not so much that can happen here for black. There are not so many tactical possibilities, and probably Magnus Carlsen was going just maybe for a draw, and in the next round he can again play a draw, because he had before this round 1 point in front of Fabiano Caruana. And here Peter Svidler makes maybe a slight inaccuracy. He should have gone maybe immediately with the knight on d5, because of course you see black's idea is to push the pawn on f5, but we have to search also our counterplay with f4. Okay, we have castle now. Here king on h8 was played, and now a3 again, sort of Svidler loses another tempo. Here Magnus Carlsen goes immediately f5, breaking through. We have to open files, we have now to open diagonals, and here we have knight on f5. And you see now bishop on c1, rook takes on c1, bishop takes on f5, we have e takes f5, and now d5, and you see now this square, the d5, that was the main weakness in Carlsen's position. Now Carlsen creates here a pawn breakthrough through the square d5 and kicks away the bishop on a2, although maybe it was a better choice here to go b3, because then you have at least some attacking possibilities to attack the knight here on c6, so at least we could go for simplifications here by trading off these minor pieces. So bishop on a2, and here Magnus simply takes the pawn on f5. We have queen on g4, and now rook on f6. And okay, here we have f4 played by Peter Svidler. Now he finally plays the move on f4, and as I said, instead of this a3 move before this pawn a3, I think you should have gone here maybe knight on d5 immediately, simply fixing the position around, and then prepare this f4 move, because now we have sort of a compact position in which we have the possibility to create counterplay ourselves. So of course it's obvious that the game is going to make progress on the f file, so we want to have at least some counterplay with the move f4, and you see now this knight is also protecting this f4, so this knight could go maybe into the game through f4, then maybe on h5. I think this could be a better continuation here for Peter Svidler instead of this a3 move. So okay, but let's see the continuation. a3, as said, f5. Here the bishops were traded. Rook takes on c1. Now bishop takes on f5. E takes f5, and now, as said, d5. We have now pawn breakthrough, and here in this position Magnus Carlsen is already slightly better. So unbelievable stuff. He had all through the whole game this d5 weakness. Now he places a pawn there, so unbelievable. Rook takes on f5. We have queen on g4, as said, rook on f6, and now f4. We have e takes f4, and now queen on g5 with the preparation, of course, to take the pawn on d5. Here Carlsen plays simply queen on f8, getting out of a potential trades of queens, because now he's better. He has now the advantage of space with the move f4, and of course we want to play moves this g5, h6, g5, and similar ideas. So what the good thing about after bishop on queen takes on d5 is that we have gone with all of our pieces out of this diagonal. So you see we have the king on this diagonal. We don't have any pieces or pawns on this diagonal. So basically this light square bishop is simply useless. It's aiming into air. So that was really good positional play by Carlsen. He plays now simply straightforward. Rook takes on d8. He gets another tempo on the queen. Queen on f3, creating sort of a blockade, because we had the possibility to push really the pawn on f3 and really weaken here the king after castling. But now you see again another tempo, knight on e5, of course, with another tempo on the queen. Queen on e4 was played, but here Magnus Carlsen doesn't even go for this pawn. He simply goes for the outpost, which is the correct move. He plays knight on g4, and of course we want to fix the knight on the square e3, and this knight on e3 can not be challenged anymore by any pawns and by any minor piece like a bishop or a knight, because you see it's a dark square and white has only light square bishop. So it's said perfect outpost here on e3, and here rook from c to e1 was played. Now knight on e3, and this is completely better position here for Carlsen. Now he has to just push forward this pawn. So as we'll see, rook on f2 was played. Now rook on e8, creating another tempo on the queen. Queen takes on b7, but okay, you can grab a pawn, but it doesn't matter, because now we have a huge pawn storm here on the king side with the move g5. Here rook from f2 e2 was played, and now here simply g4. Now we have sort of a flexibility. We can play maybe f3 or even g3 with the preparation queen on h6 with some checkmate threats on the h file. So here rook on f2 was played, and now finally queen on h6. Now the idea is, of course, to push the pawn on g3 and then create checkmate on h2. Queen on c7 was played, and okay, here you don't have to worry anymore what to do. You just improve your pieces, you just push pawns. You hear Magnus simply is doubling up the rooks, creating even a more compact position. You don't have to rush, because we are simply waiting for white what he's gonna do. And here Peter Svidler makes a huge mistake with the h3. But whatever you make, when you play maybe something like queen on e5, then we have you see g3, you have to take, then we have the fork on the rook and the queen. So here he played h3, but now Magnus simply took. We have now g3. Well, here Peter Svidler wants to get somehow out of this attack of these pawns, but Magnus simply takes. We have f takes g3. Here we have rook takes on f6. But now h2, and here Peter Svidler goes king on h1, and now very nice checkmate here on g2. So great positional game by Magnus Carlsen. I said it wasn't such maybe a tactical beauty, but you see he played very actively, he played very aggressively on the f file. Peter Svidler missed some chances on the f file. He should have competed there much earlier in the game, and got punished because he didn't. Okay, let's see what's gonna happen in the continuation of the tournament. Fabiano Caruana, I think, is still playing, so when he wins he'll be 1 point behind. If he wins, he'll be 1 point behind Magnus Carlsen. So I don't know about the additional criteria, what's if there's how much you had winning games in the tournament, or do we have this other additional criteria. So, but I think even if Magnus Carlsen loses the last game, he'll be still staying on the first place in this tournament. So I don't want to congratulate him for winning this tournament, but I want to congratulate you for this very nice game. Okay, meanwhile you can watch my other commented chess games from the series, and you can also watch my best chess games of all time if you want to see the best chess games that have been ever played in chess history. And you can also watch my computer chess games with some AlphaZero, Lila C0 and Stockfish chess games. And you can also subscribe to my channel. Thanks you for watching, guys, and chess is the best, of course.